and then when it comes to betting them, to full advantage, that's where so many people just feel flummoxed and frustrated that they're not, they're identifying, bettable races, which is frankly a job in itself, and an avenue of an approach, picking the races that you should be betting and passing the races that you should be passing. That's an exercise of, worth discussing too. But it's the ticket building and choosing to bet, inter-race or multi-race. Those decisions seem to be the portion of the equation that hold people back the most from winning.
I agree 100%. That's why I did this as my first lesson. It's almost like you already read it or watched it, because the first thing that I do in the first lesson is I stress the point that if the race comes up and you don't come up with some way, shape, or form of some kind of value out of it, you don't bet it. That's the very first thing that is that's my first point in the first lesson, and that's where you got to start. So you can look at lots and lots of races, and you also got to think long term. This is not a short term. We're not trying to bet on impulse. We're not trying to wager on just your first instinct. We're trying to wager on things that we really, really like, and we can create value out of it. And if you can't do those things, you move on to the next one. I think that's where people think they have to bet a race. You don't have to bet them all. You got to pick, choose, find the right race. Then once you do that, we go on to the next step, and the next step is figuring out how to play it. And that's the harder part. But at least we got to that point, right? We got to get to the race that we can create value in, and then we go from there. So that's our next step.
If you had to pick one kind of overwrap, an umbrella, as it were, in determining bettable races, is there a minimum field size that you start with? Is there, are there indices, based on morning line? The fact that a 10 or 12 horse field where the favorite is 3-1 or 7-2, kind of hinting that it's not going to be easy to make a favorite. Just one area where you jump when you see opportunity.
I think in this modern, it's changed obviously over time. In this modern day of our CAW world of gambling, I think it's much more difficult. But I would start with minimum of 8 horses. I think I don't like anything less than 8. That's tough because we do have short fields all around. But 8's probably the minimum in an 8-horse field. If I can't narrow it down to 3 or 4, I'm already done with that. And if in that 3 or 4, I can't find something that's above 3 or 4 to 1, I'm probably done with it too. So, I always tell people, don't box key horses.
Yep.
Don't box them.
Yep.
That's my number one rule. We don't want to look at a race of 8 horses, narrow it down to 3 and box them, unless they're all above 5 or 6 to 1. That would be the only time you would do such a thing. So we key horses with other horses, or we just bet horses to win. And I think there's not enough people betting doubles nowadays. I think doubles are a really, really good way to go about it. I've been teaching. That's one of my structured ticket teachings that I do on the site. Is I show people how you can maximize profits in doubles by playing certain combinations for a little more, taking one horse in the first race with 3 in the second, maybe taking 3 horses in the first race with 1 in the second, and structuring those tickets in ways that you can get 5 times your money. A guy told me last night he got 17-1 on the 2 races I put up in doubles. He killed it. I mean, I didn't even think of doing that, which there you go. It's difficult to design tickets, but if we simplify it and we make it easier on ourselves, there's ways to do it. I mean, there are ways to bet and there are ways not to bet. And that's what we're trying to teach, and that's what we're trying to figure out, on this website. And guys are learning. I mean, I can attest that they're learning quickly, and it's only been about a month that most of my people have been on there.
Well, the opportunity to avail yourself of Duke's and Chick and Paul and Carson, the first family of horseplay in this country, and the opportunity to gain the insights and the opinions and the approach. It's to me, it's great you're doing this, and I'm happy that I said you said chance of talking before Christmas. Absolutely, because everybody respects the way you guys approach the game, and you guys are literally for a lot of people the only pro players that we know. I mean that are full-time horse players, and first and foremost, and not dabbling in other in a whole lot of other sports, gambling, and God knows what else, casino gaming and so forth. I mean, you've made a living betting horses for years and years, so it's a unique opportunity to get a piece of the rock.
Yeah. So when you're bored on Christmas Day, I think it's,
when you've had enough of the family.
I can't remember. It's like I think it's like 4:30. I think Pacific time. We're going to do a live stream. Come join. If not, you can watch it. You can watch it on tape afterwards if you purchase it. It's dukespicks.com, and sign up for it. And I hope to see a bunch of people on there. I interact with the people too a little bit. On a daily. That's
doing
probably
cards.
That's probably the biggest thing that I think people get out of this is that they can send me questions and stuff, and and if as long as I'm on, which I'm on most of the time. I was away when you were at Los Al. I was on a 3-day golf trip, but I wish I saw you at Los Al. But anyway, I'll catch you next time. You're coming to opening day, Santa Anita.
I can. I tried to convince Tina. She does not the schlep across the country. She just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not for her.
No.
So I didn't twist her arm. So
Someday
though, I do want to come. It's on my list of days at a racetrack I'd like to attend opening day at Santa Anita. So
yeah, it's an amazing day.
We'll be betting. We'll be betting for sure.
Well, we'll watch the live stream and on Christmas Day when you can break away from the fam.
I got nothing. It's Tina and I. Well, it might be the last night of Hanukkah, so we're not worried. We're not going to offend anybody, or we're not going to be in mass, so don't worry.
All right, great.
I'll remind everybody on Twitter and stuff too. Duke, to you and the family and everybody, the kids, Merry Christmas, happy, healthy, and we'll check in. We'll check in after the first of the year.
Sounds good. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, buddy. Duke Matisse, everybody. Duke's Picks, and Christmas night. live stream going over the Santa Anita card with betting strategies and ticket building and the like. That was perfect because the Dale Day.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I like your trophy here.
Thank you. This is
Champion 2-year-old from what year was that? 2000. Wow. Going back in time. Willow Ridge Farms, this where we're sitting. This is one of their trophies.
It's really nice. Who was it? No Lack of Speed was the horse. I don't remember that
Oklahoma
horse.
bred way back in the
Yeah, I don't remember her.
Broodmare, or the sire of the broodmare, Zachalak, I think I saw.
Yeah, Zachalak was
kind of interesting. Yeah, that's going back in time. I barely remember that horse.
It's a handsome brand.
It's a nice centerpiece for you.
It is. Listen, I love being here and looking forward to this on Saturday night. And I made the point earlier this morning. It's tough for you. I mean, the card gets finished what time?
Well, we started a little bit earlier than we have the last few years, 6 p.m. Central. So we're knocking out 9 races, usually barring some strange delay, which happens, plenty of times. Our last race is done before 10. So if I hurry and hustle and things go well, I can leave before midnight and get home by midnight. That doesn't always happen. It did last night because I wanted to be here up early. I have a local radio station thing I do at 8:45 every Thursday morning, and then I wanted to get in here for you. So it's just one of those days. But it's all right. It's the final weekend. And you deserve getting me here early because you brought great weather this week.
How about that?
We were cold as you know what.
That's what I heard.
Or so ago. But,
yeah.
I mean, we're in the 50s now. It's supposed to be 70 now on Saturday, or low 70s even.
That's what I heard.
So that's crazy. Good weather for us. We'll take it. That means by the time we run the Springboard Mile around 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever it is at night, that will be, we'll probably be in the 50s, but that's fine. 10:30, I think it is. So it's an elongated card on Saturday. We start at 5 p.m. Central, 12 races to wrap up our season with the big race at the end. The grand finale truly is the grand finale, the Springboard Mile to wrap it up. Final race of the night, final race of the season. So expecting a good card, and hopefully people will find it bettable, and lots of good things to play, and some beatable favorites probably as well, as your previous guest was probably looking for already.
Well, and we are going to talk before the end of the show too. I'm going to do the Thorograph glance with at this and 2 other races, one at Gulfstream and one at Fairgrounds, the Gun Runner and the Fort Lauderdale. But actually, I was going to go through chronologically, but we're going to
start wherever you want. Just
start with
the stakes. I haven't done the other.
I'm not. Okay. The rest of it, it's all stake action, and by far the most interesting. The Hawk is good, but let's talk about the Springboard because there's a lot going on here. There's a bunch of stretch outs, which sort of kind of gives me the feeling that we're going to get an honest pace at the very least. You've got a kind of a heady mix of horses from a number of places. I think we counted up 6 or 7 different
previous tracks.
And breeding sources too. I mean, between the New York bred, the Ontario bred, Oklahoma bred, obviously Cal bred. We got it all in here.
And there's a mix
Irish
of runners that have already won at 2 turns or have won at a mile. And there's a lot more trying to figure that out and stretching out to a mile for the first time beyond a sprint. So it's a very interesting Springboard Mile filled with 12, second year in a row with 12. I look back on the stats of this race because you always want to have the full field, obviously. We can only run 12 at a mile because we start at the finish line, and our run from the finish line to the first turn here at Remington Park is pretty quick. So to run more than 12, if you were beyond 12, you'd be hung out there going up to see the camera guy up on the hill. But 12 is a full field. It normally fills up. We've had 10 or more in this race. I counted it out. I think it was from 2003 to 2018 or 19, we had 10 or more in this Springboard. So it kind of dipped for a couple of years around the COVID time and then has bounced back up the last 2 years. So we're happy to have 12. It's a really tough race. And you have a graded winner in here with Spice Runner coming in from the Steve Asmussen barn. When the noms came out, I texted Steve and said, "Which one are you sending?" He said, "Spice Runner." That was the only one he sent me. And he put in 3. So thanks, Steve. We'll take it. These horses are expected in. I believe most of these from out of town are going to be here by later today. I would hope they'd get here to maybe get a chance to school in the paddock tonight. If not, they'll have to do it tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with that because most of these horses, except the locals, have not been under the lights. And so it's a big difference. Now, weather-wise, they're going to get a break. It's not going to be freezing cold, so we'll take that. But it's a really good race. It shapes up There's front running types. There's types that come from off the pace. There's a couple of deeper closers, and it's a tough race. Spice Runner is the lukewarm morning line favorite here. I did not use Spice Runner. I thought I would, and I did not. I went with Ron Moquette's horse, Jets Rio, who won over the slop here last time out. He's tried this horse 3 times at Remington Park. The first time he literally crashed into the starting gate, leaving the starting gate. I mean, he hit his doors out and lost all hope. So throw that race out. Tried a turf race to break the maiden on October 30th. Had a little bit of a traffic issue. Came back finally and broke the maiden. I think he's going to be one to come from off the pace. He's worked out well recently, and I don't think Ron would send him here if he didn't think he had a shot to win it. So. Big long shot possibly for Jets Rio, massive long shot on the morning line. But you're going to get a decent price here if you can knock off the favorite, which I think that will be Spice Runner. Maybe Arctic Beast will draw a lot of play as well, the undefeated New York bred.
I from a fig standpoint, Arctic Beast is a handful. He's going to come in with the best overall figures, and when you look back at Spice Runner, he had honestly the isolated performance. Not that he ran badly at all in the Ellis Park Juvenile, but the Iroquois performance really kind of stands out, and he's gone sideways, going longer since, which is a little surprising, just because he's a gun runner out of a Cowboy cow mare, and kind of thought that he would stretch out. And I wonder if Steve, if this doesn't go well, if Steve tries turning him back to one turn, maybe he's a miler. I presented the trophy to him in the Iroquois, as it happens. I also found him hard to embrace in here, to be fair.
Yeah, you look at him, he improved early on. He broke his maiden at first asking at Churchill. That was nice back in May. And then showed that he was going to do something. And he hit that Iroquois, and he scores there by a head, gets up the last couple jumps. And then the next 2 races were just flat. I don't know, stumbled to the next race, so he had an excuse there at Keeneland. I watched this race in the Kentucky Jockey Club. It looked like he had a little bit of a traffic issue there. So I don't know if you throw it out completely or not. But he's one I think you can beat. But, Steve Asmus is going to be our 20th, win our training title here at Remington Park for a 20th time. No one's come close to that. Since he returned to Remington Park a year or so before the purses skyrocketed when we put the casino in 20 years ago, he has dominated. And he will tell you this is where his career started to take off. He won his first ever seasonal training title here, and he has a little bit of a fondness for Remington, and he still occasionally will show up out of the blue. He was here last week on Wednesday and Thursday night. No one expected that. But I think it was he was in between places, right? And he was probably traveling over to Oakland, and so he was here for 2 nights, and everything was ship shape, because when he's here, it better be.
I say it all the time. You'll pull up Sam Houston or the Remington Signal, Retama when it was running, and I guess they're going to come back to Retama. And there's Steve at 10:30 at night on the shank, on some 30,000 non-winner at 2, and it's just unbelible.
Yeah, and 2 days later he'll be starting in a Grade 1 somewhere.
Exactly,
and he'll be there. He'll be there too. So yeah, he's everywhere.
The horse that looks preferable from the Asmussen camp is Time for Music, who has kind of developed, took 3 starts to break the maiden, did it at Keeneland going 7/8, and then came right back and 1 mile. This is the first time around 2 turns, 9-2 on Time for Music. This is a not this time out of a Too Much Bling mare. And I've got to ask you about the Oklahoma bred of CRs. Royal American is 12-1, has done absolutely nothing wrong, broke the maiden in the Oklahoma Classics Juvenile after getting beat a half length in the first 2 starts, and then even took another step forward, winning the McNeil, going a mile. Royal American is very viable here.
And he was, CR Trout was very high on this horse during the summer when training began here back in early July, and he took 2 swings and misses in his first 2 maiden attempts, finishing second. He just really didn't seem to have a kick. So I asked CR about it a week or so ago, and he goes, yeah, we figured out what was wrong with him. He had something wrong in his mouth. I can't remember if he said he had a sore or a tooth. But so when the bit's in there,
you bet.
You're trying to get going, and you hit that pain structure. And guess what? You're not going to want to do anything.
Nope.
And so they got that figured out. And then look what happens. He breaks his maiden in the Classics Juvenile and Classics night on October 17. Comes right back into the Don McNeil at 1 mile. Handles that with no trouble. Comes from off the pace. And both of those, this race could set up for his kick. And he is doing nothing but getting better every time he gets out to the track. And I saw him the other day personally. We were back on Tuesday. He's a big guy. He checks in at over 1,100 pounds. He might be closer to 1,200 when he crosses the scales for the springboard. So this is a horse who's on the improve and will have a chance to come from off the pace. And CR is very high on this horse, trying to become the first Oklahoma bred to win the springboard since Ted's Folly back in 2011. Ted's Folly had an undefeated season here, went 6 for 6, and won the springboard back in the day. So Royal American, I wish they would have separated the two names, not spelled it all together, but it's harder to type that way. It's all one word. That's what I'm trying to say. Saying it's fine, typing it's not so easy. Anyway, he's the local that I think has a good shot. Another one you can't ignore locally, Central Time won the Clever Trevor here on the undercard of Oklahoma Derby Day back on September 28th. Tried turf early November, was okay, ran in the money there. So back to the main track, I think this horse improves. And another one who likes to come from off the pace, way off the pace actually, trained by Danny Pish. So he's had his 2-turn debut, so he's got that part under his belt. Now he gets to do it over the main track. So again, this race has a little bit of something for everybody. You can make an excuse for almost everybody to everyone in here to have success. There's very few throwouts. And if you throw one out, you have to think twice about it.
Well, and I want to mention one more horse that's going to be a price, and that's Dan Leach and Katie Rich. In fact, they won. Was it last night? I think they won last night at Turfway, actually. Okay. Katie Rich, homebred, and Leach. These are two very solid efforts. The 7 furlong maiden breaker, that was restricted company. One of the, kind of like an auction maiden, a stallion.
Stallion restricted race.
Yeah, stallion price restricted, and then came back and ran very solidly, going 2 turns for the first time in allowance company. And what's notable to me is this is the first time that Big Apple Patrick is going to run on a dry, fast track.
Yeah, he gets a fast track Saturday. There's no precipitation anywhere near our forecast.
No, and so you don't know.
You don't know what you have yet.
No, he ran on a sealed sloppy surface at Churchill twice, and this is the kind of mystery horse. He's run well enough to be considered, and then you throw in that wrinkle. I mean, he's clearly a 2-turn horse, a Union Rags out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare, and I'm hard pressed not to find a place on tickets and maybe a saver on Big Apple Patrick, 15-1. There's Walter Rodriguez coming over from Kentucky, from Turfway, where he's clearly opening eyes. The more people see him, the more impressed I think people are.
Well, and you look at just statistically, Daniel Leach, trainer, looking at some other stats I have here, does very well shipping horses around. Doesn't have a ton of them, but does well with the ones he puts out there. So Big Apple Patrick should factor. And again, you're going to get a fast track on a Saturday night. Didn't play time-wise very fast last night, but it was a Wednesday night. Probably shouldn't play that fast. When at 5.5 furlongs last night, when Let His Legacy from C.R. Trout's barn won an open company at 104 something, that was a decent time. The other time's not so quick, but normally you're not going to see the fastest times here on a Wednesday or Thursday evening at Remington Park. But this is a great race. And back to the Asmussen, Spice Runners has the credentials, but Stuart Elliott's riding Spice Runner. Eric Asmussen has the call on Time for Music. And then Ramon Vasquez is going to pick up his first leading jockey title here in his return. He went away for about 5 years. He's the leading rider. He's coming back into ride. He left last week to go to Oakland and then cleaned up over there the first couple of days. He'll be back to ride the other Asmussen Way Beyond for Ed and Susie Orr. So interesting that Eric gets Time for Music and not Spice Runner. Stuart Elliott gets Spice Runner. So I don't know. Since the season Eric Asmussen has had since he came here, he showed up here on the Thursday of Oklahoma Derby week, 3 days before Derby. I think he's 1 win away from 50 wins now. He spotted everybody else 6.5 weeks.
Wow.
And he is, I think, now tied for second or third in the standings. He was right up there. You're not going to catch Vasquez. His lead is insurmountable. But what Eric Asmussen has done in a short period of time is phenomenal. Granted, he does have the benefit of riding a lot of his dad's horses.
Well,
and there's something to be said there.
Well, and also the Keith's injury. Although Keith may have been
stay up there.
He was going to stay. Okay, so
I think that was the strategy. Separate the two of them. But Eric's done very well in a short period of time, and he gets time for music. And Spice Runner goes to Stuart Elliott.
Well, Arctic Beast, Time for Music, Royal American, Big Apple Patrick, some combination of those for me. And yet there's, Jets. The fact that you like Jets Rio is
I just think we haven't
eye-opening.
seen that horse's best yet. And last race over the slop was nice, but again, here's a horse that's looking for something on a fast track. Is only trying a fast track. He literally crashed into his stall doors leaving the gate. How he finished the race is beyond me, because he walloped it. Really, I mean, it wasn't a brushing. He creamed the gate door. So good excuse on the first out. So he gets a fast track. We'll see what happens with him out of the Ron Moquette barn.
Well, and when you talk about Moquette, there's a funny sort of an interesting sidebar, which is he showed up here last year with Speed King and thought he could not lose,
and he looked like the winner at the top of the stretch.
And then Lonnie Briley and Cole Battle blow by, and Moquette looked like somebody had hit him with a 2x4. He couldn't believe it. And of course, the Cole Battle story went on from here.
Well, and then they hooked up a couple times later on over at Oaklawn, and they traded punches over there winning stakes races. And it was a good season for both of them. But yeah, Speed King looked like the winner here in the Springboard last year. Cole Battle mid-second turn looked like he was finished. And then he comes back on, caught everybody by surprise, and wins it. I checked in with Robert Norman, his owner, earlier today, because I looked at Cole Battle's stats the other day when I was doing research for this Springboard. I'm like, wonder what he's doing. He hadn't had a workout since early fall, like I want to say the first week of October. And I was kind of concerned about him. And he came back. He said, no, he's fine. He had a lot of races, and we just thought, you know what, let's stop on him and give him time off. And they're saying he's doing well, and they expect a nice 4-year-old campaign. He didn't hint at where he would show up next. My guess is probably going to be Fairgrounds, maybe Oaklawn. We'll see. But that's the Cole Battle story from last year, so you're caught up to date there. But he did win enough points through the Kentucky Derby qualifying to get to the Derby, and the Springboard is a Derby qualifying race for 2026. We're happy for that, and hopefully another runner gets the run for the Roses out of it this year. You want to start to race 7? Start.
There you go.
Okay.
The UC
Oklahoma Breds. The UC.
There we go. I see it.
Everybody wants to know who the UC is named after. UC was the brood mare of the Great Black Gold back in the early 1919, 1920, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and you see it, the Hoots family from Oklahoma, and that's why this race has that name. So it's Oklahoma bred 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile, and I have Iran on the outside for my top pick here. She's very tough and doesn't usually run a very bad race. She's been solid in 2 starts this year. Won an allowance company last time, defeated by Take Me Serious, who we'll talk about later on in the She's All In her only other race in the Oklahoma Classics Distaff. Iran's my top pick on the outside. Floyd Wethy, by the way, picked up his 500th Remington Park win the other night. So only 14 jockeys that have done that in our history here. So that's somewhat impressive for him. Flora's Aura out of the Francisco Bravo barn on the inside. I'll bookend the card. There's going to be another pick I like here. This horse ran really well in the Stallion Phillies handicap back in August, and don't know what happened besides chasing his legacy last time in the Classics Distaff Sprint. So I expect a bounce back for Flora's Aura out of the Bravo barn.
We talked to Ray Ashford to start the show this morning.
I missed that. I was doing something else, but how'd that go?
Really well, and he's got I'm a Midnight Special, who's the half to Wild Atlantic Storm, but I agree with you, Iran, and I thought Caleb's Finest actually was worth using. The Jim Thorpe comes as the 8th, and boy, this really felt like
I don't like singles, Steve,
but
if I was going to single, Mr. Omaha should be a stone cold cinch. I said this. He ran here in our Oklahoma Derby and Open Company in late September and ran third. I mean, had the lead top of the stretch and gave way, but finished third, beating 3 and change. And then I said, if he could run 75% to that race in his Oklahoma Classics Cup, he'd win going away, and he did. He almost went sideways down the stretch. He could still win it. And this should be something similar for him. if he doesn't stop to graze, if he could find green grass to graze on or here at this time of year, he should be good to go.
Code Nate, it feels like
definitely
it's got some upside yet.
A stable mate of Mr. Omaha, no doubt. Brian Hawk, the leading owner here this season, he's become the prominent breeder in the state the last couple of years. C.R. Trout doesn't stand any stallions. He has a solid band of brood mares. He's a prominent breeder. And then Hawk is doing it with both brood mares and stallions now out of his operation down south of Oklahoma City in Purcell. So if you see one of the Brian Hawks in here, especially in an Oklahoma bred race, you have to consider it.
Well, that's my one of the best lines of the year was coming out of Classics Night, where we said, birds got to fly, fish got to swim. Trout and Hawk. You can't really go too far wrong. The Toby Keith, and we're pretty sure McPeak's running in New Orleans. Yes. Miss Call.
I believe that's correct, but I don't have a definite on that. I think that's right though. So that would be a very short field if that one scratches Miss Call, leaving us only 5 for the Toby Keith. You mentioned Ashford. I went with Tristan Alisal on the inside. Ramon Vasquez riding a nice victory last time, 2 in a row, and I think definitely, obviously, has handled the mile distance. It's funny. She's been entered 3 times here, all for the turf. None have gone over the turf, so she was forced to figure it out on the main track. So they think they have a turf runner down the road, but she's going to run on the main track again on Saturday. I think Alisal could be very good in here. Just winging it out on the front end. We'll see. Not a lady out of the Asmussen barn is going to be very tough as well.
I thought Samantha Code was all right
as
an option.
Yep, another Hawk Mike Beeler.
She's all in. Coase is the 10th, and the presence of Take Charge Milady McPeak. This is some spot to show up for a $75,000 stake coming out of the coaching club, and before that the win in the Monomoy Girl and the Oaks. I mean, this was a horse that finished second in the Ashland if you go back to April at Keeneland, and she was everybody's clever filly for the next couple of starts, and it feels like McPeak is kind of trying to rebuild her.
Isn't there a race for her at Oakland this weekend though? Also,
if it is, it's on Sunday maybe, because she's not. I don't think she's been. I don't think she's been double cross entered. Let me check.
Go ahead and check that.
Because
the credentials are definitely there with stakes wins at Churchill, and then a good 4th. Well, this 4th of 4. Blowout Coaching Club American grade 1.
She's only been, unless they're taking entries today for Sunday, but at Oakland, but she's only so far been entered in this.
Okay. All right. So unless there's a race next week for her, she's here. Okay. Field of 7, Miss Code West, the local favorite. I didn't use her. The one that I do like is Oklahoma bred, Taking Me Serious, who's running in and out of company, state bred company, and done very well with that. So Miss Code West, she's been doing well on the turf. I'm starting to wonder if she's confused about where she is. She's had a couple of turf wins and then a couple of 6.5 furlong races where she's lost to Letta's Legacy, who's become kind of her arch rival here at Remington Park over the last couple of years. But now that I say all that, she'll probably go out and run a huge race.
Perfect Shot also, I thought, obviously, was going to be a piece.
Well, Steve Asmussen's barn. Yep.
Close it out
Jeffrey
with
Hawk.
The Jeffrey Hawk Memorial. And this, when I talked to Brett Calhoun the other day, we were going over his entrance later in the week, and he said, I'm running Victory for Vets. He said, I didn't expect the field that they ended up getting for $75,000 though. Yeah.
And Victory for Vets, a huge player in this race, training well, definitely could get it done. Heroic Move, who won at Zia last out, won here in Allowance Company mid-September. I think that one on the inside is going to be winging it up front possibly. Your trouble horses here, in my opinion. Presidential, last time out was behind a wall of traffic here at Remington Park, really all through the second turn and into deep stretch. Finally was able to get some stretch out going once it was too little too late, behind Victory for Vets in that race back on November 14th. So Presidential could be one to look for. Track Phantom, who started in the Derby a couple years ago, the Kentucky Derby. I don't know what happened last time. I watched the race at Zia. Doesn't say it in the comments, but really, Track Phantom just kind of checked out of it in the second turn of that race at Zia. I don't know if he didn't like the track. I don't know what happened, but basically, he was just kind of super eased. Comments is faded. They give a distance margin on there of 59, but he was not persevering in the final 3 furlongs. So I don't know what the story was. Maybe it just didn't like the surface. I don't know. And Track Phantom, 485,000. Clark Brewster partnership of L&N Racing. If he flashes back to his win here he had early in the season, he could be a factor. But this is a good race, the Hawk leading up to the springboard.
No doubt. Heroic move, clearly down inside from Diodoro. Major player. And I thought that Maker with Willie D's, the other one, the fact that Steve's putting the blinkers back on and I mean, just looking at the last dozen starts, he did put blinkers on for the Derby, and that ended up being abandoned very quickly.
One try, yeah.
So, to me, it was the 1 and the 8.
Track Phantom has a big race and puts a bunch of poor ones together. So I don't know what part of his cycle we're going to be on, but right now, if he doesn't step up here, he's going to have a long poor cycle. But Hawk is a good setup. The kickoff to the late double, and then the springboard's your back up to the final race of that double, final race of the late pick 5, final race of the final pick 4. So lots of good multi-race wagers on Saturday. Last 6 races, stakes events. And again, perfect weather. We should have a good card. And if you can knock off a favorite here or there, if you could beat Mr. Omaha, good luck, first of all. But you can knock him off. He's in the first leg of the late pick 5. So he doesn't start the primetime pick 4. That's race 8 for the Jim Thorpe. Again, he should whistle there, I would think. But if you do nothing but dig for long shots and you can knock him off, you'll have a happy holidays for sure. I don't know if it's going to happen, though. I like him too much.
It's always a happy holiday here. The atmosphere, the Christmas parties up and down the building and throughout the building, and the decoration, the thing across the street, the zoo and the parking lot, the lights thing. It's really festive. It's so much fun.
A lot happening here. The weather's perfect, so we're catching again. Everything's working out perfectly for us. So,
nice.
Which means next spring we'll have tornadoes. But we'll worry about that. We'll worry about that in April and May.
Dave Hill's going to join us, and then Jeff Franklin to close out, and we're going to talk about the springboard again with Crafty to close out the morning. We'll look at the Thorograph aspect to it. Dale, thanks to you and to Matt and everybody. Just love ending my year here.
I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad you made the whirlwind from Arizona to Los Al to here. It's been your trek for the last how many years now?
It's got to be
5,
at least 5, I would think. I mean, let me look at the springboard to remember.
You were here for Wild Atlantic Storm.
100%.
Okay, so remember that one. You were not. I don't think you were here for Senior Buscador. That was 2020.
No, I would have remembered.
22 might have been your first one here, which would be the 5th. 4 or 5.
That feels about right.
4 or 5, yeah.
I can go through my phone too. And
we're happy to
photos.
have you. The long story short, we're glad you're here.
Well, happy to be here, and it should be a terrific night. Of course, they're racing tonight, and Friday. So 3 shots, 3 kicks at the can.
Last 3 to wrap it up, and hopefully everybody takes their swings and finds something good. And again, cashes well in time for the end of the year.
That'll give you once the season ends, you got a little bit of a window.
I'll be here for a couple days next week. Then I hope to disappear until maybe the first Monday of the new year. We'll see.
Well,
it won't be long. I don't get to go away too long.
Well, where are you? Where are you standing with your NHC qualification?
I'm still out there in the wilderness.
Come on.
Well, I haven't really had a lot of time to focus.
I know, that's the problem.
I'll have to dig in the next month and a half. I don't have a big window left, so I've got to do something with that strongly here. And knock on wood. Hopefully, it happens this year.
You'll get one.
I'm on the every other year schedule. This is my year to get back. If I don't, then I've ruined my pattern.
All right, and then you'll be regress and move forward.
All right, sounds good.
The Dale Day, everybody on your Twitter, Remington, the voice of Remington. For how many years?
Years at Remington or years at the Voice? Which way?
Well, that's right, because you
Yeah, I started here in '93. I started here a week before Silver Goblin won his Mathis Brothers Futurity and became what he became. That was in 1993. I took over announcing in 2004. So 21
years.
Yeah. I don't know how many races. It's over 20 grand now.
Amazing.
I haven't figured it out. I don't know if I want to, but it's a lot.
I do a tremendous job.
Thank you.
The Dale Day, everybody, and Springboard Mile Night Saturday. Dale, thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Hill is standing by, and Dave gets to bask in the glow of his 5-0 last week. Dave, good morning. Well done.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we had a good week. Technically, I guess it was more like 7-0 since we hit that 3-leg teaser. But yeah, it's crazy how we picked all dogs last week and then they all won straight up.
That is, just in itself is unusual, and the way in which really you didn't. Just trying to think back. Let me put where's my sheet? I don't think you had to sweat out too many, did you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the Minnesota game, the last one, I think they didn't look like they might. They looked like they might get dusted. Oh, and the New Orleans game, man, that was a sweat.
Yeah, that's true. That was just
New
tight.
Orleans
I mean,
was a sweat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
At any minute, that game could have gone south. I had to watch. And it came down to the field goal at the end. I mean, yeah, I was sweating that one. I bet that one, and I had it in the teaser. So, yeah, it was. There were some sweats. It was a fun week.
That's right. The Denver Green Bay game was tight.
Yep. That was the Thursday game, right? So we had already had that going into Sunday.
No, Atlanta Tampa was Thursday was Atlanta Tampa, no?
Oh, right. Thursday was Atlanta. I had this written on my sheet the wrong order, but yeah, it was Atlanta, Denver, New Orleans, Minnesota were the four sides. Those are the four dogs that we took, and I think they all won.
Yep. Nicely done.
So,
and
good week for Matthew Peabody this week, yeah, which is what you expect. I mean, we always say that the ratings get stronger as the season goes on, and this week 14, 15 is kind of the sweet spot, because teams are playing for playoffs, and everybody's still playing, and it's when you want your power ratings to be firing on all cylinders, I think.
Well, let's dive in. Where are we going?
Well, some wacky ones this week. I'm standing on an island again, but that was me last week, and it worked out. So we'll try to do it again. But the one pick that I'm on this week that I think most people will agree with is I'm on the Chargers, and I'm plus 2.5. That number, there's a lot of twos out there right now. You might find an expensive 2.5 because it's been moving. There's been action on the Chargers. This is one that I think a lot of people are on this side. Chargers are just really good zone defense. Take away the deep pass, which is really all the Cowboys have had all season. And Chargers have an elite defense right now. I mean, it's not what I think people are expecting going into the season, but the matchup just plays out really well for the Chargers, I think. So Cowboys, they basically have like a 1% chance at the playoffs. You could call this a must win, but I think this is a good spot here to take points with the Chargers. So that's one I'm on with the rest of the world, I think.
I'm seeing 2.5, 110.
Oh, you are? We'll get it because I think that's a good number. I have on my screen, I'm seeing that there's mostly twos out here. And then the 2.5s that I see are minus 115, minus 112. But if you can get it minus 110, that's a good price, I think. And it looks like Caesars has one. So, yeah, that's a good price. Let's see. I'm on the Ravens this week, minus 2.5. Ravens, they got to win this. The number's 3 a lot of places. I bet it at 2.5 yesterday. you can find a 2.5, an expensive 2.5 at FanDuel right now. It's worth taking. I think I bet. Let me think. Let me see what I say. I think I would still bet this at 3. This really is a must-win for the Ravens, and I think that we're seeing Baltimore kind of coming back into form. Patriots blew a 21-point lead last week. Yeah, it looks like 3 is still a good number to bet here. There's still value on the 3. Patriots blew a 21-0 lead. I mean, Drake May is still playing awesome, but there's questions in the defense, and I think this is where we're seeing the Ravens kind of coming into late season form right when they need to. They're at home, big game, primetime game. I think this is where we're going to see the Ravens that people are used to seeing. So laying 2.5, laying 3 here, I think is a good number. So I'm on that.
That's the Sunday night game.
That Sunday night game, yeah. And then here's some wacky ones. These are the hold on to your hats picks. First, I'm going to bet the Chiefs. I bet them -3. I think that, what do we have right now out there? We've got, it's still 3s. It's still 3s. So you want to, it looks like some places have an expensive 3. But I'm laying 3 against the Titans here. Clear buy low, sell high spot. No Mahomes, which is what accounts for the line movement. This number was 11.5 before the Mahomes injury. So major correction here, almost 8-point correction because of the injury to Mahomes. I've heard some chatter that the Chiefs are going to try to tank at this point because they're out of the playoffs. That's ridiculous. I mean, the Titans probably have a better chance at tanking than the Chiefs in terms of tanking for draft position. I don't think any of these teams in the NFL really tank. So if tanking's real, then this is a tank off spot. And but I don't think tanking's real. I think that both these teams are going to try to win. And I just think that this is the lowest number. The last time the Chiefs laid 3 points or anything like that, they laid 2.5 points to Buffalo. Okay, so the Tennessee Titans, the last time that they were getting 3 points was against Cleveland. So this is as clearly as buy low, sell high as it gets. 100% a reaction to Mahomes, and I think it's an overreaction. So I'm playing the number here, and laying 3 with the Chiefs on the road, Tennessee. And then for those of you, for the real sickos out there, I'm playing the Raiders plus 14.5. So
wow.
This is a team. This is a dead team against a team that's really rising. I mean, this is no shade to the Texans at all. There's no narrative here other than 14.5 is the biggest spread we've seen in the NFL this season. We've only seen it 3 times. The dog covered 2 of those spots, and the one where they didn't cover, they damn near did. That was a pretty close game. So we've already seen the numbers hovering between 14.5 and 14 because people are buying the 14.5. I mean, this is just as big of a spread as it gets. I mean, barring, Geno Smith is going to play. At least that's what the word was earlier this week. Obviously if they decide not to play Geno, maybe we see this line move out some more. But I just think I'm just taking a big number here on a team that I think is capable of covering a big number and has covered big numbers this season. So, no shade on the Texans. I think they're looking great, but they also seem like their playoff spot is secure. I don't know why they would need to, run up a big score here against the Raiders. So I'm going to sit on more than 2 touchdown cushion here and hope that the Raiders can keep it close.
I get.
It sit through a game. You're gonna have a
Wow.
sweat on you, but the Raiders are capable. Look, we've seen the Raiders backdoor cover in some really dramatic fashions. In fact, just last 2 weeks ago. So, I'd rather have the points in those situations than be laying them.
That's a good philosophy.
And then Monday night, we've got this game that I think is going to be an interesting game to watch, the Colts-Niners game. And I'm taking the points at home with the Colts. I'm getting 6.5, and there are still some -110 6.5s out there. There's also some 6s, so we can see which way the market is headed. It might be, there might be people snatching up those 6.5s. I think that this is a game where the Niners are a better team, but it's really just a question of, are they 6.5 point better in a game like this where both quarterbacks are quarterbacks who have to throw short, have to rely on the run, and there's the Niners maybe have, strangely enough, the worst defense in this matchup between the two teams. So I do think it's a close game. I think it's a low scoring game, and I think that 6.5 is quite a big cushion to give the Colts in a game that they have to win at home. So I'm not predicting a Colts win here, although I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. It's unlikely, but it wouldn't be shocking if it happened. But I am predicting a game where they keep it close and low scoring, and the 6.5 is kind of a gift. So I'm playing the Colts plus 6.5.
And you would think that Rivers will be that much better this week than last week, even, and he was good last week.
Yeah, he was good. The weakness here is that he can't throw deep, and obviously defenses know that, and Saleh knows, looking at tape, that weekend scheming is the Niners are too high shell team pretty much all the time, and that's a defense that sort of says, give us your short yardage passes. Well, they may change that up this week because of Rivers, because they know he's not a deep threat, and maybe that gets them discombobulated. I don't know. I mean, we can tell ourselves a story here, but I just think that the numbers here show, that these teams are closer than 6.5 in Indianapolis, especially given the motivation that I think the Colts have here. So those are my picks. I'm on a teaser. I'll tell you what it is. It's dead though, because I used Seattle tonight. But the number, when I bet it, Seattle were dogs, and the number's gone through 0, and now Seattle's laying 1.5 tonight. So this teaser's dead. If you could play the same teaser with the Rams, if you like the Rams better here, and it still works. But I played Seattle, Detroit, and Chicago 6-point teaser. So when I bet it, I was getting Seattle plus 7, Detroit -1, Chicago plus 7.5. Those are the 3 legs that I took on the teaser. And like I said, the Seattle leg there is dead now because the number moved through 0. This happens a lot with these 1.5 games lined 1.5. They move through 0 frequently because the 0 doesn't have any value. So, I'm not surprised to see that. I don't think that it's that big of a shift. But you wouldn't want to play the Seahawks in a teaser where you tease through the 0 because you're buying a number that has no value. If you like the Rams, tease the Rams up here to 7.5 and play the same teaser, and it has the same value. And so, there's a part of me that kind of wants to do that and just try to middle the 2 teasers and see if I can't win them both. So I may actually just do that tonight. And
you'll do it. I know you. That's right up your alley.
I hate to give up value because I think the Seahawks win, and I definitely think the Seahawks are going to cover 7. So I feel like I am giving up a little bit of value by doing that in case I split the teasers. But it is fun to middle and hit them both. So yeah.
Well, Dave, people are already asking about about week 17 and 18 because I'll be off, but we'll put it up on Twitter and on the website.
Yeah, I'll send you the picks whenever I have them and when I get the numbers. Yeah, and I do want to say I've heard from some of your listeners who've had a good season, I guess, tailing these picks, and I'm glad to hear that people are making money doing this. I don't, folks should know that I'm not an expert here. I do use unabated.com to learn how to do a lot of this stuff. And if anybody's won any money this season and they want to pay it forward, you can subscribe to Unabated with my promo code HILL. And I would appreciate that very much. Unabated is a great company. They create tools for handicappers. They don't give out picks. They teach you how to, come to your own numbers here and make your own picks, which is far more fun than just tailing someone else's picks. But if you don't want to do all that and you do want to pay for it, you also could subscribe to my Substack, davidhill.substack.com.
Now you're talking.
I would really love that as well if you want to throw something in the tip jar for having made money this season. But it has been a good season, and I know some of your listeners are betting a lot more on these games than I am and making a lot more money than I am. So you can subscribe to my Substack and send a tip that way. And I shouldn't say that in Jinx Week 16 here, but I do feel like we've done well enough this season.
You've been tremendous. Rich Ang last week 4-0. The sports injury. I mean, I'm so proud of bringing the three as I'm calling them ATR pigskin pros. The results have been amazing this year. This a great season. So
it's been a good season, yeah. And if your listeners are making money, I'm glad to hear it, and hopefully we can keep it rolling. Rufus Peabody, he's making so much freaking money now on Kalshi. He may just stop doing these power ratings. I mean, this guy, I don't know if you follow Kalshi, they have public leaderboards where you can see how much money people are making. This guy is making like $160K a day. I mean, he's making more money than NFL players, betting sports on Kalshi. So we may lose Rufus. He may, he may enter the stratosphere at some point and stop all the work he does to create these power ratings. So who knows? Wow. We got to get the money while we can.
Well, we have to talk about that after the first of the year, because the whole, you were the first person to identify the whole prediction market concept in conversation here in this setting. So I wouldn't mind a conversation about that after the first.
Sure, love to do it. Yeah.
Dave Hill, everybody, Dave Hill 77 on your Twitter, and show some appreciation to Dave in any kind of format, and best to you and family for the merriest of Christmases, and we will talk to you for the first week of the playoffs.
Same to you, Steve. Yeah, well, I'll be talking to you next week.
There we go.
Happy holidays,
Dave
everybody.
Hill, everybody. Thanks, Dave. Just terrific. Dave Hill, folks. And waiting in the wings is our man, Jeff Franklin. Crafty, how you feeling?
The 85%, Steve. Thanks for asking. It's a dogged little thing. What do they say? A long way from the heart, but pretty close to the nose. And so I'm doing my best. I'm feeling fine. Thanks, man.
All right. Well,
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I was going to try to drag you out to Santa Anita, but Monday or Tuesday, but I figured I'd let you heal up, and knew we would talk today. So
great.
Let's dive in. We got three races, two-year-old races, and one interesting turf race. We've been talking about the springboard this morning, and this is, do you take a low number? Here's a great thing for you to riff on. Do you take the low numbers on a sprinter in Arctic Beast and try to project him stretching out?
So really, I think on all of these horses, we're looking in some cases at, let's say, 3-4 thoroughgraph points that separate them all. And, a common theme, you and I have talked about this a bunch. These horses don't often improve incrementally. Somebody can run 11-11-5. And so let's be as conscious of pattern as we are of raw number. But getting back to your immediate question, and I had to say that because Arctic Beast, beautiful draw, quick as heck, a horse saving ground all the way around the track, could, let's say he repeats his 6 and change, and somebody's going 4 wide, they could run a 4 and he's going to beat him with a 7. So to me, I'm going to probably look to bet against them. And, Steve's bringing in two really nice horses. Spice Runner, the favorite, great Winchell family. Have no idea what happened in the last 2 starts. Has a very credible age to run back to. I'm looking to fade him, though. And frankly, Steve's other horse, who's by not this time, not such a bad credential these days, he's lightly raced, has the same top to go back to. He's got an 8. He can continue to improve. But there's kind of the horse I like, the Oklahoma bred, Royal American. And I like him because he paired, and he had all sorts of trouble last time. He probably ran a hidden 7 in his last race. So, given 12-1, that's where I'm looking. And I'm even looking for a crazy, crazy horse in Supreme Good if he runs. I don't know if he's been cross-centered. Thoroughgraph guys are going to be saying, Crafty, what the hell? He's like 5 lengths, behind everybody else. Yeah, but he paired numbers. And, always watch out for a 2-year-old who pairs, because they're kind of like a coiled spring. They did something that could set them back, and yet they didn't. They stabilized and said, okay, that effort you just gave me, I did it again. What's up, big guy? and now they can move to their 7, 8, or whatever. So bottom line for me, I'm probably going to fade Arctic Beast, long-windedly answering your question, even as the controlling speed of the race, looking for Royal American, Time for Music, and maybe even throw in some Supreme Good, depending on the final prices.
I talked about Royal American, and that is really healthy. The two 10 3/4, terrific races over the surface. There's a lot to like. Danny Cabrera and C.R. Trout. That'd be cool if a local can upset the springboard, and even if he drifts down to 8, 9 to 1, he's the right value. Turn our attention to Fairgrounds and an interesting group. We talked to McGooey earlier this morning. We went through it, and this is another local, not a local horse, but a regional horse that comes in with nice numbers. What do we make of the Ohio bred? He's certainly not bred like an Ohio bred per se. 5 and a 6 in the last 2 at Mahoning and at Thistle. Then after that, you got the more standard performers.
Right. So Crown the Buckeye, if he can repeat anything close to what he's done so far, he's in the picture. And in fact, 5 to 1 is a square, and I think very suspicious morning line. I'm looking at him to be bet down significantly. But he's not an easy bet against. You toss him, I think, at your own risk. He's just a really nice racehorse who's got every reason to sustain what he's done in the past. Two other horses in the race are very interesting to me. Chip Honcho, who figures to be absolutely the controlling speed, good draw, gets blinkers on.
Off a win. Blinkers on off the win.
Yeah. And so, boy, 92 square price on him. And, the horse that way down at the bottom, Mr. Punch.
Yep.
Brad Cox's horse. What a family, man. My gosh. And, okay, so he's had a couple starts. He ran an 8. Where's he going to level out? I have no idea. So those are the 3 I'm looking at. But to answer your question, Crown the Buckeye, I mean, those are some really formidable and reliable thoroughgraph numbers. I expect them to be right in the picture, if not win outright.
All right, let's. We got about 3 minutes to close it out and go to Gulfstream, the Fort Lauderdale, as the turf season gets started in earnest with some very familiar faces.
Yeah, and how about Wolfie's Dynagos finding another fairly paceless field? Yeah, he gives away 5 pounds from everybody, but he's got a great draw. He's got, he'll be in front as long as he can carry it. And as we were saying earlier, Steve, this is a horse that can run a 3 or a 4 and beat horses that are running, thoroughgraph 1s and 2s because they have to circle the field in some cases. So I don't have morning lines here. Just checked a while ago and couldn't find him, but he's going to be really tough to beat. And of course, the raw numbers, the best raw numbers in the race are generated by Chasing the Crown. Might have been a throwout in his last start. I didn't have a chance to watch the replay, but I noticed from the footnotes that he was slammed at the start. So there you go. But, because time is short, I'm focusing on those 2. And there's one other pattern people are going to ask about, and that's Quattrocentos. And is it an O2X? Yes. What is an O2X? Horse runs an all-time top, regresses 2 points from there, and then runs a pooper. And they often go right back to that top. The question for this horse with me is a 1 1/8 miles. But all that said, I like Wolfie's Dynagos and Chasing the Crown as my top 2 selections in the race.
Well, and I'm only going to add 2 horses to consider. Cugino for Shuggy coming out of the Red Smith win. And this is very funny that as he has gotten older through the 4-year-old season, he's gotten closer to paces, which is really notable. I mean, the way Sammy Marin rode him in the Red Bank, maybe I don't know, maybe it opened his eyes a little bit. I mean, he certainly ran well in that allowance too at Aqueduct back in June. But Cugino has speed, and you get Flavian Pratt. And I would not discount, if you're looking for a horse that might get slip through the cracks a little, Bean Cone comes back with Beach Gold here off of freshening, and Junior Alvarado really suits. Beach Gold is going to be what, 8-1, 10-1?
Well, yeah, just ran 10th. Sure. And those are some pretty impressive numbers 2-3 starts back.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'd throw him in. Absolutely.
You know, he ran the 2 and change, 2 back, so he gets back to that. He can win. And Cugino just ran a new top 7 weeks ago. All he's got to do is pair, and I think he's gotten better as the year's gone on. So Cugino probably is where I key off of. 3 really good races on a really good weekend. Don't forget Sunday. You got the Turfway action. We'll handicap plenty of that tomorrow. Jeff, heal up, feel better, and I will talk to you in the new year. Happy holiday, merry, happy, and best wishes for 26.
Thanks so much, Steve. Take care, all.
Jeff Franklin, folks, and I will still pick some races for next week to get you a couple of. You'll still get sheets. Don't forget, by the way, you don't even need me to do it because the Christmas to New Year's Jerry Brown. I'll remind everybody tomorrow and Monday. You get Jerry's fabulous gift to subscribers and users of Thoroughgraph, and those that want to see what it's like. Always great, and it's always timed perfectly for the start of Santa Anita's season. Thanks to Crafty, Dave Hill, Dale Day, Duke's Picks, Jim Corns for Succeed Equine, Frank McGoey got you ready for that Fairgrounds card, and Ray Ashford, who's sitting on a keg of dynamite with Decode. Back with you tomorrow for Twin Spires weekend preview of a great weekend. Good luck today if you're playing, everybody. Talk to you in the morning.
Races with Steve Byk on Sirius XM Radio.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions and offer betting tips from horse racing experts. Bet all day and night nationwide. Get the